Hi guys, it's Mina, and today in this video I'm going to talk about my top 10 fantasy movies. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy movies. I grew up watching more of musicals and kids movies and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get started, and I do have like reviews up for 3 of these movies. I'm sorry about that, I'm a little tired today. 3 of these movies, and I will mention which 3 that they are, and I will link the movie reviews to the 3 movies down below, and I'm going to get started. So number 1 on my list has to be Spirited Away. This is a pretty weird Japanese anime fantasy film. Like, I like this movie because it involves a young girl whose parents are turned into pigs. Sorry if I get away for those who haven't seen it. And she, like, is meeting all these spirits. And she's, like, works in a, house in order to, like, free her parents from being pigs. And I really like the story because, like, it involves a young girl who's kind of scared of everything but learns about facing her fears when she's around all these spirits. Number 2 on my list had to be Willow. This is a pretty weird film. This is a film that involves, this is a kind of interesting, like, kind of medieval fantasy film, sort of. Like when a dwarf adopts a baby and then he can't keep her because she's not safe in their village. And, like, he goes on a journey to bring her to safety. He can protect her from danger. And number 3 on my list had to be The Dark Crystal. This is an extremely weird movie. I loved this movie as a kid. Because, I don't know. I don't know why, but I really like this movie as a kid. Because, I like the weird puppet things in this movie. I really like Jim Henson. He makes amazing stuff. And I really like The Dark Crystal because it has a good story, and I like the fantasy and all the weird-looking characters throughout this movie. It's such a great film. I don't remember what year it's from. I think it's from the late 70s. Sorry about that. I think it's from the late 70s, so, yeah. Yeah, I just like it because of all the weird-looking creatures and throughout this movie. They're awesome, and they did a great job. And if you wish to see my review of The Dark Crystal, I'll link the video in the description box down below. Number 4 on my list had to be The Princess Bride. This was one of my favorite movies going through chemo. I like this movie because, this is like a really old film as well. Well, actually not that old, it's from the 80s. I like this film because, like, involves a farm girl who is about to marry a prince, even though she's in love with a farm boy. And she has to marry the prince because he was chosen by her or something. I don't know, I haven't seen that in a movie in a really long time, so, and then the farm boy and he dealt with 2 characters, and they try to get her back from the prince. Number 5 on my list had to be Stardust. I like this film. This is a pretty interesting fantasy film. This one involves a boy who tries to get, like, some kind of star who becomes a girl for the girl of his dreams. In order to win her hand in marriage. And I like how this story because, like, the 2 characters, like, end up kind of falling in love on the journey together. Not the girl he is in love with, but he ends up falling in love with the star who became a girl. And he tries to, like, bring it back to her. So let me start her. So it starts off with a boy who finds a star that he tries to bring to the girl of the dreams, but then the star ends up becoming the girl of his dreams. Number 6 on my list would have to be Enchanted. I like Enchanted because this is a pretty interesting fantasy film. It goes from, like, fantasy to a modern day. From fantasy to modern day. It's pretty funny. Because this princess doesn't understand, like, the way that the actual real world works. works in real life. Like it doesn't, the modern days really work unlike her fantasy days. It's pretty interesting and pretty funny. And if you wish to see my review on Enchanted, I'll link that in the description box down below. Number 7 on my list would have to be Big Fish. I like this one because this one tells a story of a dying man's life and like how his stories throughout his life and what he did during his stories, and then like his son doesn't believe him, but he soon begins to believe his father. Like the more ill he becomes. Number 8 on my list had to be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So I like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because basically it's in a chocolate factory, obviously. I like this one because it involves a boy who goes to a chocolate factory and sees a bunch of stuff made from like candy that's pretty edible, like let's just say edible flower cups or candy like berries or something like that, and he like comes into a fantasy world full of candy. It's pretty cool. I bet my Uncle Pete would be in heaven because he had such a big sweet tooth. I did mention that before, if he was in that world. So if you wish to see my review on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I'll link that in the description box down below. And also I like that it's based off of a book. Number 9 on my list had to be Legend. This is a pretty weird fantasy film. This is my cousin's favorite movie. Actually, one of her favorite movies. She showed this to me a few years ago. I like this because it involves a princess and her friend, and they kind of fall in love, and then he ends up in another world trying to save her, and so he has to go through like this other world and obstacles to save her. It's a really strange film, but I really think I thought it was pretty cool. Number 10 on my list had to be The Never-Ending Story. I like The Never-Ending Story because it involves a boy who has brain fade, sorry. It involves a boy who loves to read, and then he goes and finds this book, and this book takes him into like a giant world full of fantasy. It's a pretty weird film, but I like it, and he meets all these strange looking characters. It's pretty cool. Okay, so those are my top 10 fantasy movies. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye!